In the depths of human experience, there's a connection that transcends the ordinary boundaries of the physical, emotional, or rational. It's something that penetrates the most hidden corners of the soul, questioning familiar explanations. Carl Jung, a prominent figure in analytical psychology, argued that the most significant relationships don't arise spontaneously. In his view, there are deep, unconscious forces that draw us to certain individuals, and this attraction goes beyond simple sympathy. Jung called this phenomenon the process of individuation, the path to becoming our true selves. And it's amazing that this path often opens up through love. But how do you know if the person you're with, or the one you're thinking about, is the one? How do you distinguish a fleeting infatuation from a connection predestined by the subconscious? We will now delve into the essence of Jungian theory and explore the signs that indicate true love. Jung believed that every profound encounter has a hidden purpose. He said that meaningful meetings are like crossroads of fate, and they aren't accidental. He introduced the concept of synchronicity to describe events that seem like mere coincidences but carry a deeper meaning. When two people meet at a certain point in life, experiencing similar difficulties, aspirations, or changes, Jung explained this as the action of the collective unconscious. It seems as if the universe itself creates the conditions for these souls to see each other truly, not only with their eyes, but also with their hearts. At such moments, a strange feeling of recognition arises, a sense of long and deep connection. This feeling cannot be faked or explained logically. It simply arises, and when it does, something inside us changes forever. Often such a deep connection is born during periods of life turmoil, feelings of abandonment, or important changes. As Jung argued, the human soul seeks healing through another person. Therefore, a genuine feeling can arise precisely at the moment when the familiar world around seems to be falling apart. And it's in this whirlwind of uncertainty that the deep forces of the subconscious declare themselves, bringing to light what requires awareness, transformation, and acceptance. Therefore, if you feel that a certain meeting wasn't just a coincidence, that it carries a certain silent call to self-knowledge, perhaps it's worth listening to that inner voice. After all, according to Jung, love doesn't begin with the moment of infatuation, but with the moment of recognizing yourself in another person. And this is just the starting point of a genuine life path. According to Jung, true love isn't a meeting of two missing pieces striving to complete each other, but a union of two whole personalities in the process of self-improvement. What does this mean in real life? It means that no one can save you from yourself, no one can fill the inner void of your personality, and no one should be responsible for your happiness. The ideal partner, from Jung's point of view, is someone who encourages you to grow personally, who reflects those aspects of your personality that you haven't yet recognized, including those that you're trying to hide. This is related to the concept he called the shadow, the totality of everything we suppress or deny in ourselves. At the moment of the birth of romantic feelings, a very interesting psychological phenomenon often occurs. A person tends to endow the object of their passion with traits that stem from their own, sometimes unconscious, aspirations. Such a projection can play both a destructive and a constructive role in a relationship. It's at this stage that many love stories fail, because instead of a real person, the lover sees only a figment of their imagination, an idealized image designed to satisfy their most secret needs. An inevitable consequence of this state of affairs is disappointment. When reality ceases to correspond to the picture drawn in the head, euphoria is replaced by anger, annoyance, and despondency. However, according to the eminent psychologist Carl Jung, this contains a valuable opportunity for self-knowledge. The right partner isn't the one who protects you from suffering, but the one who unwittingly exposes the hidden aspects of your personality that require awareness and processing. True love, therefore, appears as a kind of psychological alchemy, a painful process of transformation, including the burning of old attitudes and rebirth on a new level. That's why genuine love is such a rare phenomenon, because it requires not only strong feelings but also deep awareness, a willingness to look inside yourself with utmost honesty, courage, and openness. As the insightful Carl Jung asserted, the true feeling of love is born when fear recedes. Our deepest fear lies in the apprehension of appearing before others as we truly are, with our doubts, flaws, and internal contradictions. This is why many relationships remain superficial, as genuine immersion into another person's world is inextricably linked to delving into one's own soul, and that, admittedly, frightens many. However, when two people find the courage to walk hand in hand through this mirror of self-discovery, something remarkable happens. They cease seeking a savior or refuge in their partner and begin to navigate life as equal companions, striving not to complete each other, but to transform together. This is the essence of love according to Jung, not an escape from suffering, but rather a safe space where even pain can sprout wisdom. Imagine a scenario: you meet someone and everything seems to align perfectly, shared interests, engaging conversations, similar plans for the future, as if the universe itself decided to unite your destinies. But gradually, this person begins to evoke anxiety in you, touch raw nerves, and stir up old wounds you didn't even know existed. Sometimes it's just a glance, sometimes silence, but you feel discomfort, longing, and fear of losing control of the situation. Paradoxically, according to Jung, this is a good sign. After all, true love isn't always comfortable. It can cause pain, exposing our vulnerabilities, but it is through this pain that healing comes. When someone awakens hidden shadows within you, forcing you to confront your fears, jealousy, desire for control, or desperate need for approval, it means that person is acting as a powerful mirror, reflecting your soul. And not everyone dares to look into that mirror without averting their gaze. True love is not a fairy tale, but a complex and profound psychological process that demands courage and self-sacrifice. According to Carl Jung, any meaningful relationship inevitably confronts us with the deepest layers of the unconscious, requiring awareness and integration into the personality. This is fundamentally different from idealizing a partner, when we see in them only a reflection of our own desires and fantasies. Genuine love, according to Jung, lies not in confirming our illusions, but in consciously or unconsciously stimulating the personal growth of another person. The process of growth, however, is associated with pain and the need to revise established beliefs and perceptions of oneself. Often relationships begin as a fairy tale adventure, filled with mutual understanding and ease. But as the connection deepens, more complex and contradictory aspects of the psyche begin to manifest. Old traumas resurface, and repressed fears, such as the fear of being rejected, abandoned, or lost, reappear. It is at this stage that paths diverge. Many couples do not withstand the test and break up, mistakenly believing that their love was not real. However, according to Jung, this is where true love begins. Only when we feel safe enough to reveal our vulnerability do we allow another person to see us as we truly are, not the polished, attractive, and pleasant version of ourselves that we display at first, but our wounded, insecure, and contradictory self. If a partner stays by our side even when they see our naked truth, it indicates a real possibility of building a deep and lasting relationship. True love is not a fleeting flame of passion, but an unshakable presence. It is the realization that even in the darkest times of fate, there is someone who is willing to stay by your side, not out of a sense of duty, but out of a calling of the heart, seeing in you not a perfect ideal, but a person in the process of continuous development and striving to share this journey. It is this kind of love that Carl Jung envisioned as the path of individuation, a unique journey that begins outside with another person, but ends within oneself, making the personality more whole, conscious, and, most importantly, true. Another cornerstone concept of Jung is the idea of anima and animus. In the soul of every man lies a dormant, unconscious image of femininity. The anima, while in the soul of every woman lies an unconscious image of masculinity, the animus. These internal figures are formed throughout life, starting from early childhood, under the influence of experiences interacting with members of the opposite sex, primarily with parents. Being unconscious, they have a profound impact on the choice of partners and the nature of relationships with them. When meeting someone who awakens this internal image, a magnetic, almost mystical attraction arises. It seems that a kindred spirit, a perfect soulmate, has been found, but in reality, it is a reflection of one's own psyche projected onto that person. Jung called this animus projection, which can be the beginning of great love or a source of deep disappointment. After all, no real person can eternally live up to the idealized image created in the imagination. And when this illusion begins to crumble, when the reality of the other person manifests with all their flaws, the enchantment usually dissipates and the relationship enters a crisis. However, this crisis does not necessarily have to be the end. It can be the beginning of something much deeper. If you can discard the projections and see the other person as they really are, with all their weaknesses, fears, and limitations, as well as their true light, love can find authenticity. The archetypal image gives way to human presence, and few people with sufficient emotional maturity are ready for this. Often, people prefer to live in a comfortable world of illusions than to face the inconvenient truth about another person's human nature. That's why so many relationships fail when the masks are off. But Jung offered a bolder path, to use the collapse of projections as an opportunity for personal growth. When a person realizes that what they idealized in another is actually a part of themselves that needs to be recognized and accepted, they take a huge step toward individuation. The other person ceases to be merely an object of desire and becomes a mirror reflecting one's own unconscious. And in this mirror, if you dare to look into it, you can find answers to questions about who you are, what you need to heal, and who you can become. Genuine love is not blind faith in illusions, but the ability to withstand the test of truth. It is the realization that a partner is neither a savior nor a perfect complement, but just an imperfect companion on a shared life path. It is in this depth that its true value lies. Many people are mistaken in trying to find perfection or absolute compatibility in another person. It is important to understand that it is not about finding the ideal, but about the ability to see if this person allows you to be yourself and whether you give them the same opportunity. Is there room for open dialogue, personal growth, and re-evaluation? Are both partners ready to face their weaknesses and move forward no matter what? True love, according to Carl Jung, not only confirms the existing but also deeply transforms the personality. We are only able to truly love another person when we stop demanding conformity to our unconscious expectations. This means that the right partner is not someone who always agrees with us or relieves us of discomfort, but someone who, even when contradicting, provides emotional support and allows us to do the same in return. Jung viewed love not as a fusion of two personalities, but as a creative tension between two subjectivities in a constant process of transformation. This tension is inevitable because each person is a unique universe with their own history, pain, and active archetypes. The meeting of two such worlds creates beauty, but also conflict, and there is nothing negative about this. The health of a relationship is determined by the ability of partners to withstand this tension without resorting to domination, manipulation, or escaping from problems. Carl Jung, a prominent Swiss psychoanalyst, viewed deep personal relationships as a unique opportunity for personal growth and healing. He argued that love connections serve as a kind of alchemical laboratory for the soul, where both long-standing emotional traumas and hidden opportunities for development come to the surface. According to Jung, the ideal partner is not one who has the gift of unconditional understanding, but one who shows a willingness to empathize and tries to comprehend the inner world of another person, even when it seems an impossible task. In turn, each of the partners must be prepared for similar efforts. True intimacy occurs when both people make mutual efforts to understand, show patience, know how to listen, and sincerely strive for joint growth. Jung warned against the dangers of unconscious love based on projections, idealization, and unhealthy dependence, emphasizing that such relationships inevitably lead to disappointment. In contrast, conscious love, arising from self-knowledge and mutual respect, has a powerful healing potential. This healing affects not only the emotional sphere but also the spiritual existential depth of human existence. Love, accepting a person in all their fullness and complexity, is one of the most transformative experiences available to humanity. To determine how well a particular person suits you, it is important to pay attention not so much to what they offer, as to what qualities and feelings they awaken in you. If interacting with this person inspires you to become more sincere, free, and whole, even if this process involves pain and discomfort, then you may have encountered true love. Not an idealized version, but a real one. According to Jung, this kind of love holds genuine value. Thus a pressing question arises, one that everyone asks themselves in moments of reflection. How do I know if this particular person is meant for me? There is no universal answer, no ready-made formula or exhaustive list of criteria. Carl Jung offers a deeper, almost sacred perspective on the union of two souls. In his view, true love is not simply a sudden, overwhelming feeling, but rather a process that demands awareness and spiritual awakening from us. And this call must be heard. When someone enters your life who awakens you, ignites a desire for self-discovery, and encourages you to work through your traumas, heal your emotional wounds, and achieve wholeness, it is not a coincidence. Jung would call this phenomenon synchronicity, a mysterious correspondence between your unconscious and the unconscious of another person, creating fertile ground for mutual development. If this person enters your life and seems to push you toward a more authentic version of yourself with their entire being, it is a strong indication that they have an important role to play in your individuation process. However, it should be remembered that this does not mean the relationship will be without clouds or the path will be easy. Often, the most transformative relationships turn out to be the most challenging, requiring self-work and overcoming obstacles. Deep within human nature lies a desire not for tranquility and serenity, but for relentless growth and self-improvement. The most profound influence on this process comes from those who touch the most intimate and vulnerable corners of the soul. As the famous psychologist Carl Jung asserted, meeting another person is simultaneously encountering the elevated and dark aspects of one's own self. If the connection withstands the test of time, when masks fall away and true essence is revealed, when ardent passion is replaced by deep and sincere intimacy, then one can speak of a unique find, genuine love. According to Jung, this is love that stands the test of reality, born from accepting both the light and shadow sides of a partner. It does not demand perfection, but values sincere presence. Such love does not suppress individuality, but on the contrary, promotes its strengthening. If a person does not seek to remake you but inspires development, if they point out your shortcomings but accept you with all your weaknesses, if they remain by your side even when it would be easier to leave, then you may have encountered love that transcends selfish notions and speaks the language of the soul. In such a situation, it is more important not to ask how well this person suits you, but to ask yourself, am I ready for such an encounter? True love does not consist of finding the ideal partner, but in being ready for a life of shared growth and transformation with someone who is as imperfect as you are. Throughout his distinguished career, Carl Jung emphasized that the most important task facing a person is achieving awareness, and this is directly related to the realm of love relationships. Following unconscious patterns of behavior, repeating past scenarios, choosing partners who only fuel deep-seated fears or illusory fantasies seems like a much easier path. However, according to Jung, genuine love requires a bold and radical decision to break out of automatic mode and perceive the other person as a kind of guide to self-discovery. This kind of love is not based on empty romantic promises or a superficial level of compatibility. It is founded on the courage to be authentic, on the willingness to face inevitable conflicts with maturity, and, most importantly, on a deep acceptance of the complex and multifaceted nature of another person. Such a thing is possible only when a person is wholly committed to the process of their own individuation, a path leading to the revelation of their true essence. In this context, the right person is not the one who perfectly complements, but the one who challenges, encouraging one to become a whole person. It is someone who, perhaps without even realizing it, touches the most vulnerable points that need healing. It is someone who values not only what a person demonstrates to others, but also shows a genuine interest in the hidden aspects of their personality, and vice versa. True love is a territory of revelations, not a world of illusions. It is a space where intimacy goes far beyond physical contact, penetrating the mental, emotional, and even spiritual spheres. Jung argued that fateful encounters in life are not random coincidences, but represent necessary events that contribute to the evolution of the soul. Therefore, if there is someone nearby who constantly encourages reflection, growth, and change, even if this process is associated with pain, then they, even unconsciously, help fulfill a psychological purpose. However, it is important to remember that this process is genuine only if it is mutual. Love for someone who is not ready for introspection, who refuses personal growth, who only projects their problems onto others or manipulates, is not a manifestation of synchronicity, but merely an attachment, cleverly disguised as love. Reciprocity is what turns the meeting of two people into a harmonious dance and not a fierce struggle. Both partners must be willing to see each other as they really are, listen carefully, accept, respect, and most importantly, move through life together, even when the path undergoes changes. After all, true love, in Jung's understanding, is a fascinating journey, and, like any journey, it is associated with challenges, falls, and moments of reunion. It is not a straight line, but rather a spiral leading to the center of the soul. And if this person helps to advance along this spiral, even if you sometimes stumble, then they are an integral part of the individuation process, and this, undoubtedly, is much more valuable than any romantic ideal. Ultimately, the question, is this person right for me, does not have a definitive answer that can be found in the external world. The answer lies within oneself, and it should be based not on fleeting desires, fears, or inflated expectations, but on deep awareness. Psychologist Carl Jung urges us to discard the naive notions inherent in childhood perception, as if true love is something simple, predictable, and invariably comfortable. On the contrary, he argues that genuine love has a transformative power precisely because it destroys our previous attitudes. It takes us beyond our usual comfort zone and forces us to face those aspects of ourselves that we have carefully avoided. And it is in this mirror, which is another person, that we can see our true essence and potential for growth. Thus, if there is a person near you who touches the deepest chords of your soul, encourages development, and accepts you with all your imperfections, then perhaps they are not perfect, but perfectly suited for your personal growth. True love is not a final goal, but rather a way of life. And this path is not always marked by certainty, but almost always accompanied by a feeling that you are exactly where you should be. It is as if your soul recognizes in another person a missing part of its inner world, not to fill the void, but to unlock its potential. Jung teaches us that we should not seek love that soothes, but love that awakens. An awakening, as you know, is often associated with pain. It brings chaos, destroys old structures, questions habitual beliefs, but ultimately restores, strengthens, and deepens our personality. True love is the force that pushes us towards our true self. It is not love that limits, but love that frees. It is not love that shapes us in its own image and likeness, but love that expands our horizons. And if you have met a person on your path who is able to give you this, know that you have found something truly rare. This is not about predestination in a mystical sense, but about that very synchronicity that connects two souls ready, or at least willing, to move together in the direction of truth. And truth, no matter how painful it may be, is the fertile soil on which true love can blossom. Therefore, when wondering about compatibility with a potential partner, it is important to rethink the question itself. Do I correspond to the image of a person ready for genuine love? After all, such a relationship is not a ready-made gift, but the result of daily work, requiring maturity, sincerity, and courage. When two people unite in this endeavor, supporting each other, treating each other with understanding, and stimulating personal growth, they create something more than just a romantic connection. They become witnesses to a psychological miracle. It is this kind of love, according to Jung, that has the power to transform the world, starting with the transformation of the lovers themselves.